Hey, what's up? I'm Guy.
I'm John.
This is our YouTube channel. Subscribe to this channel. Give this video a like.
Podcast below in the description. Go subscribe, like that bad boy as well.
John, week 17 upon us, and almost every game in the NFL matters on Sunday, including the Dolphins-Bills game. The Bills, if they win, they're the 2 seed. They could also get the 2 seed even with a loss if Cleveland beats Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh's not trying. Miami, there's some other things that happens. If they lose, they can still get in, but it's simple for them. Win and in. But the breaking news, they're not going to have Fitzmagic to save him this week. He's out with COVID. So they signed. Did you see who they signed, by the way, to be Tua's backup this week?
The old Michigan quarterback,
Jake
right?
Rudock, Harbaugh's guy.
Harbaugh.
So this one's all on Tua, man. This is all on, actually, Tua man.
Listen, I'm not rooting against Tua or anything, though I don't love what I've seen. It's hard to really argue, even if you are Team Tua, that it's such a big story that a backup quarterback got tested positive and won't be available. You know, I'd say for any other situation, this week's weird because like Mason Rudolph's, like where it's just a normal week and starters are playing. If Justin Herbert, if Tyrod Taylor, tested positive, and if Geno Smith for Russell Wilson, I don't think it'd be that big of a story. We definitely wouldn't make a video of it. But my first thought is, are the Dolphins screwed? And you know the thing, Guy? I think most people's first thoughts are, that's not good. And that, to me, is an indication not of his career, not where he's going to go, he can improve, but of his rookie year. That, to me, kind of sums up Tua's rookie experience, doesn't it?
It does. It does. I mean, it's not baseball's a weird comparison, right? But if he's your starting pitcher, he's not going 6 innings right now. And that's a problem in the NFL because you play the whole game, right? Fitzpatrick's had to come in and save them multiple times. Now, I do think there's been some dynamic to this back and forth that gets overlooked a little bit. I think one thing that happened with them, not only did they want to see Tua, and we talked about it in the middle of the year, early in the year, it would be a wasted year if Tua didn't play this year because you've got this opportunity for rookie quarterbacks to play with no crowd. It's just a
the
really
timing
unique
did.
spot.
Remember, they killed the Niners. Then they went into their bye week, and Fitzpatrick guy, I mean, you and I were locked into that Niner game, looked like fucking Dan Marino.
Yeah.
And then they benched him that bye week. It was pretty, and Fitz was, again, he understood the deal, but was pretty taken back. Right?
He was, but I think he was, and rightly so. And he's proven, credit to him for staying locked in because they've needed him. But I think part of what happened was, like, Bryant, because they've been so good in other elements of the game, right, because there's been such a good defensive team, it wasn't just, hey, let's help Tua, give him a soft landing here and kind of nurse this thing along. Part of it might have been Fitzpatrick can do some great things for us. He can also turn the ball over a little bit. Maybe we can really rely on Tua just to protect the football, and now we can win games this way. And then if we need somebody to come in and make some plays, we'll go to Fitzpatrick because we're going to be in close games.
I know the coach said that it was a plan all along. He wasn't worried about the outside noise. At that time, Herbert was becoming kind of a star, and Burrow had that Thursday night game and was just kind of like, oh, this guy was worthy. Remember, it was like, what's the deal here with Tua?
Well, wasn't it Schefter that basically tweeted at the time, like, the Dolphins want to get a look at Tua in case they want to do what the Cardinals did with Kyler? Wasn't that part of the calculus?
I think if that was either the first or second week of his starts, right? It wasn't like he had played bad. Remember his first start, he threw for like 90 yards. So it might have been the next week.
Yeah, but this has been basically, I mean, it has not been impressive. And again, like you said,
it just doesn't look like the other guy. The other guy comes in, and you
go,
God, their players suck, and he goes, woo, 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 throws it all around the yard.
Yeah, but he hasn't turned the ball over. Like, to me, whether or not they can get away with it this week, it's all about the Bills. If the Bills, let's say, look up at the scoreboard and Mason Rudolph is slicing and dicing, and the Steelers look like they're going to win, they're going to beat Cleveland, and the Bills need to keep Josh Allen, they need to throw the ball around, and they want it. They try to play the way they did week 2 when Josh Allen threw for over 400 yards in that win over Miami, and it was a shootout. And at the time, we thought, like, God, that's weird with the Bills. Like, they let Miami hang around. Well, it turned out that was about Miami. Miami's good. Well, Fitzpatrick was not throw for throw with Josh Allen that day, but he was pretty good that day too. Like, if it's going to be that game, if the Bills are going to decide they have to try, then then it's going to be really hard for Miami. But if Buffalo doesn't play that way, then Tua can not turn the ball over and they can win the game.
Well, I saw someone put the Chiefs, like, the Bills are on a whatever game winning streak, like 6 or 7 games, and so are the Chiefs. And it's basically like both of these, if you just look at the win-loss column, are equals. But the game, like the Chiefs' average margin of victory over the last like 6 games is like 6 points. The Bills is over 10, and they've had several games. The Niner game, the Monday night game, where they are humming. You could, I guess, the Packers probably would be the hottest team in the league, just the total package. You might put the Bills. I'm not saying they're better than the Chiefs, but just currently, right now, how hot are they? Football is a one and done situation. Like they are the hot team going into the playoffs, right? Their quarterback has he started good, and
Them
it
in
feels
Green
like
Bay.
he's even take a step. Yeah.
Right. The other thing here, maybe somebody in the comments can let me know. I don't know how many games Miami has played with fans. There's going to be 6,700 fans here, John. But Bills fans,
Yeah.
could feel like 6,700 could feel like 13,000.
Do you see Andre Reed? I don't know if he did it on Instagram or he went out to his front yard. He took a table. He put it in front of this olive tree. He climbed to the olive tree and leaped.
I did not see that.
Do you see the Steve Trasker, the video he did, where he's like, "See you guys in January," and he takes a puff of this little stogie and he's like, "It's gonna be cold." It's just badass. You're like, God, this place is cool.
From in the stadium, yeah, I'm watching it right now.
People often, I remember Bill Cowher told us, it's good when the Raiders are good. And some of those old teams from the 80s and 90s that just, I do think the Bills are one of those teams, like the Steelers, like the Packers. Now those teams have consistently been good, and the Bills kind of went away. It does feel cool when they're good. They are just a legitimate, kind of feels a little old school franchise that I'm glad this team's rocking and rolling. And the Dolphins, I would say, they've never been great most of our life, but they were really cool in the 90s with Marino playing a lot of Monday night games. They were another franchise. As part of it's just that the AFC East just has some sweet franchises, right? The irony is most of our life the Patriots sucked, then Belichick got there and they became the way sweeter franchise.
But for people our age who the Bills early 90s, those were teams that we really, those were big parts of our lives. I didn't realize what the Bills Mafia was like because they were gone for so long, and then all of a sudden they came back and social media was there ready for them. It's like, oh, wait, that's what these people are. This is nuts. I didn't realize the Bills had a fan base like this.
Their most memorable moment, Guy, happened when we were probably in ninth grade with now our friend Lorenzo Neal that had the Music City Miracle.
Yeah.
They had been good the whole 90s. They were nowhere what they were with Jim Kelly, but that was a big wild card game that they were winning, and it took one of the craziest plays in NFL history. Low Neal throws it back across the field. Music City Miracle. I remember being at my house sitting on the couch watching that. It was because obviously it's the first weekend of January. School hadn't started yet, and I didn't know Lorenzo at the time, but that's still one of the craziest. Then they kind of went into football purgatory for the next 20 years, right?
Yeah.
They were one of the worst teams in the league for several years. They were always pretty consistently last in that division, I feel like. Maybe I'd have to do a deep dive if that actually rings true, but they were third or fourth consistently. They hadn't made the playoffs when
they finished in last place they had it looks like 6 straight years at one point.
Remember what a big deal it was for their franchise when they got in Sean McDermott's second year and Andy Dalton beat the Ravens and everyone in Buffalo donated hundreds of thousands of dollars and they gave him a standing O. Wasn't it week 1 or the preseason game? They gave the guy a standing O. Honestly, it's a very cool franchise. It's kind of been awoken by, Sean's McDermott's personality is not quite like that, but Josh Allen's is. And that's, to me, part of the Tua, I just think, analysis, if you're Brian Flores in the front office, is you just go, is this guy going to be better than that guy? Or are we just going to take the L and just go, we got no chance?
Well, yeah. That's a big part of it. I also think, and this is where this specific game comes in, because I'll tell you this right now, John, he's not going to be as good as that guy. Tua's not going to be as good.
Because
as
if you're Miami, you go, well, we're us and the Bills for the next couple of years, right? We have the infrastructure to compete with them to win this division. But if our quarterback isn't, does that force them to make a move with Tua? I do think Tua would have suitors, right? If what Schefter said months ago is true, right? If they wanted to pivot, because now the Texans pick. I thought the Texans were going to beat the Bengals, and that pick was going to end up 10. Well, they didn't, and now that J.J. Watt basically said everyone quit, and now it feels like that pick's going to be 4 or 5.
Here's the other thing about this game specifically, right? It's to your point, I just watched the Steve Tasker video. this is your division. Like, you're going to play a game at this place every year. You're going to play a game at New England every year. You're going to play a game at the Jets every year where it's cold and it might be
Hasn't it always
snowing
been a knock
and it's
on the
raining.
Dolphins too?
And yeah, so I just like, how does Tua look in this game, right? In a game that they've got to win and in.
I'm not trying to overreact to one game.
And I know, again, they can, if Indy or Baltimore or Cleveland loses, they can also get in. But
I'm not trying to, put too much emphasis on one game for a rookie. But I do think if you took a step back and just took a deep breath, God, there's a lot on the line for Tua Tagovailoa in this game. Just win or lose, to me, he could lose if he plays really well. But if it's one of those 90-yard stinkers and you lose and then how the situation plays out, you are left out of the dance. Sometimes the last taste in someone's mouth changes the course of history, right?
Yeah.
It's not the body of work.
But you could also, you and I both have watched him quite a bit. This is the more unlikely scenario. But if he plays really well in this game and they win this game, to me, he's got a lot to gain on Sunday as well, right? He has an opportunity, a lot to gain.
I think they're praying that he does that. So then they can use that 5th pick, get Jamar Chase, use another pick. Like, you don't want to have to just hit reset because ideally, you just have your guy.
No. Yeah, you want to use that on another really talented player to help the guy that's already solid. The other thing is this. Again, as I read you the scenarios, even if they don't beat Buffalo, they just need one of those other 3 teams to lose. But it's like, it's Baltimore. It sounds
Baltimore,
in theory.
Yeah, Baltimore, Indianapolis are huge favorites, 13 and 14-point favorites.
And Cleveland's
obviously Indy's out.
Yeah,
Cleveland's
so
getting Mason Rudolph.
So in theory, you go, we just need one of 3 teams to lose. It's not that big of a deal. But
the Ravens are not losing. The Colts, I think, and while they're out of it, they're winning. So
they already lost to
the
Jacksonville
Browns.
once. So
are the Browns?
The Colts are out, but could also win the South on Sunday. That's a whole other scenario. But what I was going to say, John, is what a whiff it would be if not only does he not play well, but you miss the playoffs and don't get him, and you don't get to see. Like,
That's
he plays
what I'm
well,
saying.
then you don't even get to see him in a playoff game.
Yeah. So you play shitty, you lose. Josh Allen balls. They do this celebration there with their 600-700 fans. Then you look up at the different scores and you go, "Wait, we're out of it too."
Yeah, brutal.
And it all because we didn't have our relief pitcher that everyone's freaking out about. That's what this whole thing's about. Like,
tandem starting.
Everyone has red flagged the situation because your backup quarterback had corona. No other team, I don't even think it'd be a big deal.
Yep. I want to see him play well.
Yeah, I'm not expecting it though.
Same.